for Luther, there is a reality that you and I can study. If we have the proper training today, we would say in physics and chemistry, you can figure out what constitutes a table or a tree or whatever. And Luther operated with that view of reality that Aristotle had given. Everything has a substance. That's sort of the divine idea, and it has its accidents, is the Latin term. It has its individual characteristics that make the individual thing. Luther accepted that, but then he said underlying that and framing that, embracing all of that, is the relationship with the Creator. He had a very personal view of God and of a God who speaks. Persons speak normally. So he saw that from Genesis 1 that God spoke, whatever that means in that chapter, and that means that God was relating to everything he created through his word. And Luther believed, on the basis of especially the Old Testament, but the New Testament as well, that God is always speaking and keeping the world going. So the idea of the Creator face-to-face with everything in his creation, and human beings, certainly as people created in his image, persons created in his image, are then face-to-face with each other as well as with God. In the mystery of sin, we're also face-to-face with the devil, with our own sinful flesh. And so there are the whole network of relationships that the book uses to sketch an overview of what Luther's theology was really like. So it's another introduction to Luther's way of thinking from this particular angle.
Yeah, it's almost, to me, correct me if I'm wrong, but it almost reads as a systematic approach to how Luther views theology, with this underpinning of relationships as the way that you're kind of organizing things. Is that a good way to think about it?
Yeah, I think that's right. You mentioned that I've written a few books before. I wrote a book for Oxford University Press 15 years ago, maybe now, in which I sort of did the typical traditional way of reviewing what Luther taught. And then my colleague and good friend Chuck Arendt and I, maybe 25 years ago, wrote a book called The Genius of Luther's Theology. And in it, we looked, first of all, at God as the Creator who, in a sense, already then we were talking about relationships. And then in the second part, it talks about the Word of God as his instrument of doing everything he does.
Yeah.
And so those were attempts to take two different angles and lay out for readers what Luther was thinking in his day, with an eye toward how we might use his thought. And face-to-face is another attempt at doing that.